What did you make of the PM's decision today not to have a Fair Income Royal Commission into COVID? Basically, a weak inquiry, no power to compel witnesses, no power to get documents. The Premier's off scot-free under the terms of reference because if it was a decision by a Premier, he doesn't want to know about it.
Well, Peter, I'm not surprised. As much as I want to put COVID behind me, and I think a lot of Australians do, we need to know what on earth unfolded during this time. There was just crazy stuff happening. We couldn't go 5Ks. We couldn't have people to our homes. We were locked down here in Melbourne, 6 lockdowns, ripped families apart, ripped communities apart. We saw a mass exodus. These are premiers and bureaucrats. People like Brett Sutton, they need to be held to account. And I think this has really turned out just to be a nothing burger. I mean, what's it going to mean at the end of it? Probably not a lot.
Talk to me about The Voice, because I know you've been out there campaigning pretty hard. I was at an event in Sydney on Friday night. I spoke to some campaigners from Western Sydney. They said the reaction of migrant Australians, particularly those, having arrived in the current generation or the generation before, they are saying, look, we came to Australia because everybody was equal. This isn't what The Voice is about. We can't support it on that basis. One of them said, he is being told by people, we had nothing to do with what might have happened 2 centuries ago. Can't we move on? What's the reaction out of Western Melbourne? Because I know you've got a lot of migrant populations in your local community.
I'm hearing exactly the same kind of thing. In fact, I just wrote an article for Elsworth, which is the Islamic magazine that goes across Australia. The editor happens to live in my electorate. And it's the same argument for all of us. This is punishing people for the sins of their forefathers. No one is alive today who is guilty of committing those atrocities. And to put into place a system where there's unequal political influence and taxation systems, it's only going to drive division and on the basis of race. They're going to create the very thing that they say they're trying to eradicate.
And of course, the more that people understand that voice means treaty, voice is just the entree, it's a way to get to treaty, that's where it loses support, doesn't it?
It does, Peter, but I think the Yes camp's messaging has been really mixed. I think they've done a very poor job of trying to sell this to the Australian public, and the No camp really has to keep their messaging straight. Warren Mundine coming out on the weekend talking about Australia Day and treaties, I don't think did the No camp any help at all. So they really need to keep their message on point. But as I've said to you, Peter, on this program many times, this is not over, and I am not convinced that the Yes vote will go down yet. It's likely, but I wouldn't be saying it is.
I'm with you, and the big fight too now is South Australia and Tasmania. Small populations, but they'll count in that state-by-state vote as much as Queensland will and other states. You can, I think, forget about Victoria voting no, but that's where people who are in the No camp really need to get activated, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I just think the fact that we're actually fighting this based on our own principles of equality before the law as Liberals is so encouraging, and I'm so proud of our federal team, and I'm glad to see that all the Liberals are uniting on this because this is one of our core fundamental values.
I do say, though, the Victorian Liberals, they were sort of, I don't know what we're going to think here. They did not come out and stake a no position. The New South Wales Liberals are a yes position. Thank God for Peter Dutton. Hey, just quickly, this push by the Yes camp, Sophie, with apps and a whole range of things to get young people to lobby mum and dad and grandparents, because that's the demographic that's at this stage voting no, to try and have a fight in the family to get them to vote yes.
Good luck with that, Peter. I think that the polls are showing that the older Australians are the ones who are sticking with a no vote. So I don't think they're going to budge much, Peter. But, I mean, they need to pull out everything they can now because they are in a very a worrying situation. They're well down on where they should be if they're to have a real red-hot go of getting this across the line.
I tell you, my mum's not for turning. Thank you very much, Sophie Elsworth, Moira Deeming.